You're watching the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears Football Weekly Press Luncheon with head football coach Ian Shields.
Well, thank you, John. It was an exciting weekend. Great to go over to Jefferson City and get a victory, a hard-earned victory over a very talented Carson-Newman team. It started off great. You know, we came out ready to play. I think our guys were excited to play. Everyone knew what was on the line. It's a rival game, and we have a ton of respect for Carson-Newman's program. We played well, really controlled the majority of the first half, well, all but about the last 18 seconds of it. And then we had, an unfortunate turnover. They got a little bit of momentum following that turnover. It easily could have been 35-3 going in at halftime, but with that play, that changed the complexion of the game, and then put momentum back in their favor. But to our guys' credit, we kept playing and found a way to overcome some adversity. With some starters out, obviously Evan Sims came in and played a wonderful game. Really, the last 2 weeks he's played marvelously and doesn't get enough credit for the success we've had the last 2 weeks, rushing for over 400 yards in each of the last 2 ball games. So he's played well, with the exception of that play he'd like to have back. And there was a guy that didn't get blocked that knocked it loose he wasn't ready for, and that happens, and credit to Carson-Newman, good defense. That being said, it was a heck of a team win. We did a nice job in the kicking game, had a partially blocked punt, had a punt down inside the 20. Did a lot of good things in our kickoff coverage unit. Mitigated any substantial returns, played well in the kicking game, made all of our kicks. Defensively, although it wasn't maybe our most productive game defensively, part of that you tip your hat to Carson-Newman when they have one of the more explosive offenses in the country. Nobody's really stopped them yet. But what we did do is what good teams do, and we got them off the field. And by doing that is we forced 4 fumbles. Actually, we forced more than that. We recovered 3. And also got an interception. So we had 4 takeaways defensively. Anytime you can get 4 takeaways defensively, you got a great chance of winning the football game. The other thing I thought we did well is aside from winning the turnover battle decisively, is we won a lot of the critical situations, and we won the mental game. We were only penalized 3 times. Our adversaries over there were penalized 8 times, and we sustained a drive late in the fourth quarter at a critical juncture, going with a hard count and getting them offsides on 4th and 2, and that was a big play in the football game. So our guys executed in crunch time and played well in the championship atmosphere, adverse conditions on the road, and I was proud of how they handled that day and responded, and it was a big time victory. A lot of great individual efforts there. Started on the defensive side of the ball, I thought Tyler Botts played his best game. He was all over the field, had 13 tackles. We put a lot of pressure on linebackers in our scheme to play well against the split back here. Tyler played well. He also had 2 sacks. He also had 2 forced fumbles, and really had an excellent game. I thought Rodney Singleton played well as well, outside linebacker / hybrid strong safety. Rodney is an unsung guy in our defense because he's the guy that kind of blends the front to the back end for us back there. Had some big hits, won our heavy hitter award for a big shot on the quarterback, and made his presence felt. Chris Green up front did an exceptional job inside. Chris is one of the better defensive linemen in the conference. He was very active. To have 11 tackles playing nose guard is no small feat. His most active, productive game up front. So even though we bent and gave up some yards, we got off the field. Of their 10 possessions, 4 ended in turnovers in the game, and that, say what you want, that's pretty good defense. Offensively, played very well. Averaged almost 8 yards a carry on the day. Evan again executed well. I thought our offensive line controlled the line of scrimmage. Joe Ray in particular played an exceptional game up front. He set a team record for knockdowns in the game, which we count. He had 26 knockdowns, which is quite a few guys identified in enemy colors and get them knocked down. So well done for Joe. Dale Howard played well at center. Jimmy Bear continues to be very productive at left guard, and Slagle and Villani filled it out, and those 5 are doing a super job all season long. You don't rush for 410 yards a game at this late in the season without the guys up front doing the bulk of the work. And Coach Seamy does a tremendous job with our offensive line. Chris Robinson, Chris continues to produce. Had a huge game. Had over 178, 179 yards. Had a big touchdown and really put the game on his back there in the fourth quarter. We had a big-time drive there, a 9-play, 67-yard drive in the fourth quarter to put us up 2 scores. And a lot of that was on Chris's legs and back, and the guys up front. So Chris is a force. Again, one of the better backs in our conference. Has over 1,000 yards rushing, which is the first back at Lenoir-Rhyne to rush for over 1,000 yards in a decade. And there's 2 games left to play in the regular season. Chris has the 5th lead in yards per carry in the country right now. Gerard Spears is leading the nation in yards per carry, which is really unbelievable when you have 2 of the top 5 in the country in yards per carry in your own backfield. So some guys that's a lot of good guys doing work there for that. It's not just the 2 of them. There's guys blocking for them on the perimeter, quarterbacks executing, everyone doing their job. But it means some things are going right, obviously. Again, I thought our receivers played well outside. They're the unsung heroes. They block well on the perimeter. That's how those big runs happen. So again, a good team win. Proud of our effort. Again, it's a goal of ours as a team to win the South Atlantic Conference champion. We at least have a share of it now, but there's unfinished business at hand. Starting with this week going forward to Alderson Broaddus. We have a challenge in front of us. We just came off an emotional, physical, the most physical game of the year against Carson-Newman, who tipped their hat. That's a great football team we beat over there. But now we got to play another dang good team. Alderson Broaddus is 6-3. 2 of their losses are to FCS programs. They only have 1 loss to a Division II program. They're scoring 42 points a game. They're a dangerous team. I'd say they're probably the most diverse offense we've faced this season. They do a lot, and they're doing it well. Their running back, Jones, is a heck of a football player, has over 1,000 yards rushing as well. Quarterback can deliver the ball. The receivers are excellent against man and zone coverage. They're protecting the quarterback well. He gets the ball out of his hands on time. They're going to be a bear to deal with. Defensively, they've been multiple. They haven't played a true option team this season, although there is a past history playing LR a season ago. So we know what their good ideas were a year ago, but we don't know whether that will carry forward to this season, obviously. So it's a challenge for us to get on the bus and go 6 hours to play, and against a good team in a hostile environment. So it's great preparation for us, and our guys are excited to go get up and get on the bus and get up to West Virginia. But we have a lot of work here in preparation this week in practice, starting obviously today being Tuesday. We have a critical practice in front of us here in a couple hours. So with that being said, I'll take any questions regarding the Carson-Newman game from a week ago or Alderson Broaddus here in this coming Saturday.
4th straight conference championship and your first here as head coach. What does that mean to you and the program?
Well, it's a goal of ours. It's a goal every year. We're not all the way there yet. We want to have it outright, but our guys are proud of that. I think there's a great legacy. I think the departing senior class that's a real feather in their cap to leave here in a championship every year they've been here. That's not easy to do. And it just speaks to the commitment from our administration, from the players, from the previous coaching staffs. That it just doesn't happen. It's pretty unique. You can look around the country. There's not many teams stacking conference championships upon conference championships 4 or 5 straight years in a row. So our goal is to continue that forward. But again, that was nice this past Saturday to at least clinch a share of it.
Coach, I probably could have mailed this one in because I think I've asked this question about 3 times this year. But you're coming off a big emotional win in the game of the year, and now you're facing a team that you have to non-conference opponent on the road. Is it a challenge emotionally for the team?
Well, I think there's the potential for that. I don't think that'll happen with this football team. if you know these guys and you watch them play, you can see how much they love to play football. This is a team that's passionate about playing the game and loves to play with each other. And they know what's at stake. This is the most important game we've had all season because it's the only one we get this week. And I want to keep banging that drum. That's the reality of it. They're all important. Every game is more important than the last. It's the only, and we rip off the rearview mirrors and we're going forward. And the bus is headed towards West Virginia.
Okay, two injury situations perhaps. One, Miles Freeman's not listed on the depth chart as a starter. Two, it looked like Tanner Botts didn't play late in the game on Saturday, and does he have an injury problem?
Well, the first one, Miles is day-to-day. There's a chance we may have him back sooner rather than later. We'll know probably more after practice in the upcoming days. Certainly we'd love Miles to get back. That being said, we're comfortable with Evan playing a quarter. Evan's playing well, so we're fortunate to have a great two there. We also didn't have Marcus. Half our starting secondary was out against the Carson-Newman game. So to play as well as we did back there, Collis Clark stepped in for Joe Anderson and has in recent weeks, and Collis has played outstanding, and C.J. Cody's played well and had an interception as well for us. So people, that's a great team effort to have some real significant ones. You're starting quarterback and half your secondary out, and you're playing for the conference championship. I was proud of how those guys stepped up and performed and got it done. Tanner's situation, there was a lot of defense being played out there. Our defense was out there for, I believe, 75 snaps. So there were some fatigue issues late in that game, and Jordan Forney is playing well. Tanner's fine, and Tyler's fine, and Jordan. We have three linebackers that can play in there for two positions, so we're just trying to keep them fresh.
Coach, I think I saw Ike Whitaker with a couple carries. Can we expect some more out of him?
Well, I sure hope so. I didn't get a lot of reps in the course of practice. Of course, he has, probably 2 million reps in the course of the last 4 or 5 years. So it's like riding a bike for Ike. He can get right back out there and do it. But I thought he looked better than I anticipated when he got out there. So he is back. He's close to full strength, if not full strength. And him and Chris Robinson form a great 1-2 punch. Obviously, Chris is the starter. Chris is one of the more dominant running backs in the nation right now. But it's nice to have a guy that's also a potential All-American sitting right there behind him and to keep Chris fresh. And we have that's a real luxury to have two guys that really are really starters. And it's great to get Ike back. He's a tremendous team leader as well. His voice on the sideline resonates with all of our guys, and he's the right guy all the way around.
He had a key block on one of your touchdown drives, did he not?
He did. Ike is great without the ball in his hands. He does some of the unsung things that aren't seen in the stat book necessarily, and he's just a heady, smart player. He's had a ton of reps, and there's value in having him out there. It's just hard right now to take Chris Robinson off the field because it's just rare that you have a B-back in our offense that's rushing for over, on the season, he's rushing for nearly 8 yards a carry at fullback. That doesn't happen, So he's an explosive guy. And he's a challenge to defend when you factor in the guys on the outside are pretty good too.
Coach, this is for Christian Kenworthy. He's in Florida, so he couldn't be here today.
I knew he'd get one out there anyway, or two.
A word that Neil has brought to the athletic program is mettle. Can you talk about how it has shown over the past few weeks during the second half of games when teams have made that run in the second half?
Well, everyone has good players, and I think in particularly last week you're talking about we had Carson-Newman on the ropes there at the end of the first half, and we let him off the canvas. And but that's to their credit. That's a proud program, and there's no quit in that group at all, obviously. But I did think we showed our mettle, our resiliency, our toughness. That's a core virtue of ours, just our toughness. And I think we have a tough football team. I think we practice tough. I think we lift tough. I think our guys play tough. And I think when people turn on the tape and they watch us, I think they can at least respect the fact that our guys play hard. We always like to play a little better from time to time and fix some things, but our guys play with tremendous effort, and I think that speaks to their mettle and their toughness. And we'll need to continue that trend here going forward.
Second question is, there is a new cub in the LR family. Tell us about her.
Oh, yeah, that was a trick question right there, your coach. I was like, what? Anyway, no, Coach Harper, that was a little adversity as well. Coach Harper, Justin, our wide receiver coach, they had a baby girl, Anya, and it was touch and go. Coach Harper was going to make the game Saturday. We didn't think he was. He did not travel with the team Friday and made it over early Saturday morning for the contest, so he was there for the birth of his daughter. And then hustled over the game, and he's, obviously we all want him there on Saturday, and he found a way to make it through some adverse conditions. As anyone that attempted to try to get over to Jefferson City knows how tough that was last weekend with the snow and everything. So great addition. Congrats to Coach Harper, and double congrats when you can stack it with a W over Carson-Newman.
Coach, just going back in time a little bit, it wasn't too many years ago where the idea of a conference championship was a goal that was maybe unreachable for Lenoir-Rhyne football, and then beating Carson-Newman. I don't like to think about what the overall record is there, but a lot of times that game would sort of define a season. But it seems like with these guys, this was another game on the season, on the schedule. They didn't put Carson-Newman above anybody else or below anybody else, and the fact that you were able to clinch part of your conference title again this year, how do the guys see that? I mean, what are their goals? What is their vision for how things are going so far this year in terms of the importance of that game going into it, and now the importance of what that game was now that they've gotten behind it?
Well, to put in a historical context, our guys don't worry 1 second about anything that happened in the past 40 years or anything before that. Like it just doesn't have significance over what happened last Saturday. It started, quite frankly, the success Lenoir-Rhyne's had started with a vision that this man, Neil McGahee, had for the program. Everything has to start with a vision. And that's where the vision started, and then hiring Fred Goldsmith and putting a solid foundation in place. And then Mike Houston carrying that forward, and then I was fortunate enough to step in and hopefully continue to move it forward. And so there's a blueprint in place for success. Our players expect success. That's where the expectations are now. We expect to win, and winning is contagious. And for years before, I've been in a place where losing is contagious, and LR had been in that place in the past as well. But it's a lot better being on this side of the coin. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun waking up Sunday morning when you're stacking W's. So that's we got a great group of young men. We got great talent. We got a great school to recruit to, and but it starts with a vision and it starts with a commitment, and we're fortunate to have that in place.
Coach, talking about recruiting, how is recruiting going this year? Do we have some good prospects coming in, and what's the process with that?
Well, we feel great about our recruiting. Like I said, I think we have a great school in LR. We have, in my opinion, the best location in the South Atlantic Conference to recruit to. And then we're talking about a winning tradition where they can collect rings at the end of each season, winning championships. So there's a lot to sell, and we're not done yet. And there's things we can do better and things we can improve on. And I know this, in any business, or particularly in this business, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. And our job is to make sure this thing continues to keep the arrow pointed up and get better. And that goes for every player every day when they're lifting or going to school, or for us as coaches, and certainly in the recruitment of finding the right student athletes for this institution. So that's our goal, to find guys that will value the academic experience here, and then value playing some great football and stacking W upon W and putting a ring on their fingers. All right, thanks everybody for coming. Again, it was a wonderful weekend last week, and beating Carson-Newman in a hard-fought football game against a class program. We're looking forward to this Saturday. Again, it's the most important game of the week. It's the only one we get all week against Alderson Broaddus. We're looking forward to getting up to West Virginia and playing a great game of football. And I think our best football is still in front of us. Go Bears.
Go Bears.